This plan of a garden is made of rectangles and triangles. The perimeter of the garden is 34 meters. What is the length of the longest side of each triangle? So we need to find what these lengths here are. We know that the perimeter is 34 meters, and the perimeter is the total length around the outside. We're also told that this length is 4 meters, which means this length at the top will be the same, and this length is 3 meters, so this length at the side will be the same, will be 3 meters as well. So we know that the perimeter is the total of all the lengths around the outside. So we can work out 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 3, so the lengths that we have plus the 4 sides, the 4 longer sides of each triangle, have to total 34 meters. Now 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11, plus 3 is 14. So 14 plus the 4 sides equals 34, which means the 4 sides together must be 20, because 14 plus 20 is 34. And if the 4 sides together are 20, to find one side, we can divide 20 by 4, and that gives us 5. So the longer sides are 5 meters. Here are 3 nets of a cube. On each net, draw one more dot so that each cube will have dots on opposite faces. So if we imagine the dot that they've given us is on the bottom of the cube, we want to dot the face which will be the top of the cube, so that we have dots on opposite faces. So if this dot is the base of the cube, these 4 sides, these 4 faces will fold up, and then this face here will fold all the way over the top. So we need our dot on this face here. Now here, if we imagine this face with the dot is the base or bottom of the cube, this face will fold up, these faces will fold around. When this face folds round, this face on the end will fold all the way round and cover this edge, and this face here, once this face has folded up, this face will fold over the top. So we need our dot on this face here. Now, if this dot is the base of the cube, this side will fold up, this side will fold around and cover this edge, and when that happens, this face here will be able to fold all the way around and cover this edge, which means that this face will fold all the way around and cover this edge here. So we need our dot on this face because that will fold over the top. You can buy a bag of 6 green apples for 75 pence, or a bag of 10 red apples for 90 pence. Jason bought some bags of green apples and some bags of red apples. He spent £4.20. How many bags of each type of apple did he buy? So we know that one bag of green apples is 75 pence, and a bag of red apples is 90 pence. That means 2 bags of green apples is £1.50, because 75 plus 75 is 150, and 2 bags of red apples must cost £1.80. 90 plus 90 is 180. We can add another 75, so 3 green bags cost £2.25, and 3 red bags cost £2.70. Now we need to find a combination that adds up to £4.20, because that's how much he spent altogether. So we can have 3 red bags and 2 green bags, because £2.70 plus £1.50 adds up to £4.20. So he bought 2 green bags and 3 red bags. Nika and Hassan bought some bags of apples. Nika says, I bought more apples than Hassan, but I spent less money. Explain how this is possible. So the best way to explain is to give an example. So we can see that you can get 6 more red apples for only 15 pence more. So red apples are cheaper than green apples. So 3 green bags, we found out, is £2.25, and that will be for 18 apples, because if you buy 3 bags of 6, you buy 18 altogether. But 2 red bags is £1.80, as we've seen here, and for that you get 20 apples, because if you buy 2 bags and there are 10 apples in each bag, that's 20 apples altogether. So Nika might have bought 3 bags of green apples, and Hassan might have bought 2 bags of red apples. This graph shows how the temperature changed in Liam's room one afternoon. Estimate the temperature at 3:15 p.m. So we need to find 3:15 p.m. on our line graph. We can see that between 1 hour and the next we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. So each of these lines is a quarter of an hour, and a quarter of 60 minutes is 15 minutes. So 3:15 p.m. will be the first line after 3 p.m. So that's this line here. We can draw a line up, and then where that hits the line on our line graph, we can draw a line straight across. And we can see that it's between these 2 lines here. And each line is 1 degree, because we can see to get from 20 to 25, we have 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So our line is right in the middle of 22 and 23. So we can estimate 22.5 or 22.5 degrees. You get the mark for an estimate of between 22.2 and 22.8. Now estimate the time when the temperature was highest. So the highest temperature will be at this point here. So we can draw a line straight down and then find out what time that will be. Remember, each of these lines is a quarter of an hour. So we have 2 o'clock, 2:15, 2:30, 2:45, and we can see that the highest temperature is between 2:45 and 3 o'clock. But it's not right in the middle, it's slightly closer to 2:45 than it is to 3 o'clock. So I would estimate 2:50, because that's only 5 minutes after 2:45, but 10 minutes, so more time before 3 o'clock. You get the mark for an estimate of between 2:48 and 2:52 p.m. Now, how much did the temperature change from 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m? Give your answer to the nearest degree. So we need to find the temperature at 2 p.m, the temperature at 2:30, and then find the difference. So subtract, because the question asks for how much the temperature changed. So at 2 p.m, we can see that the temperature was just under 17 degrees. Remember, each little line is a quarter of an hour, so we'll have 2:15 and then 2:30 or 2:30 will be here. And if we read across, we can see that the temperature at 2:30 is just under 22 degrees. Now we want the change in temperature, so we need to find the difference, and we do that by subtracting. It says give your answer to the nearest degree, so we can round up to the nearest whole degree and subtract 17 from 22. So that gives us 5 degrees. Liam did a survey of 55 people to see how many were left-handed. Liam says the results show that exactly 10% of the people in the survey are left-handed. Explain why Liam cannot be correct. So if we find 10% of 55 people, 10% of 55 is 5.5, and you can't have 5.5 people, because 5.5 is 5.5, and you can't have half a person being left-handed. The way we can work out 10% of 55 is by remembering that a percentage is a fraction with a denominator of 100. So we could find 10 hundredths of 55. 55 divided by 100 is 0.55, because if it's a whole number, we can put the decimal point on the end, copy it down, and then move the digits 2 squares to the right. So that's dividing by the denominator to get to 0.55, and now we need to multiply by the numerator, so multiply by 10, and that gives us 5.5, because to multiply by 10, digits move 1 square to the left. Or we could simplify 10% or 10 hundredths to 1/10. So we find 1/10 of 55 by dividing 55 by 10, and that gives us 5.5, because if it's a whole number, we can put the decimal point on the end, and to divide by 10, that has 1 0, so digits move 1 square to the right. The diagram shows 6 shaded squares. K is the point 20, 10. What are the coordinates of L and M? So the way to solve this problem is to write as much information as we can find out on the axes of our coordinate grid. So we know that K is 20, 10, and with coordinates, the first coordinate is always the x coordinate. So if we go down, we have an x coordinate of 20 at this point here. Now the x coordinate where the axes cross will be 0. So if we know that this point is 20, that means this point here will be 10, and this point here will be an extra 10, so that will be 30. 0 to 20 we can split in half, because we can see that we have 2 half squares, so each half square must be a difference of 10. So because this point is 1 half square to the right, that must be an extra 10. And we also know that this point here will be 10 less than 0, so that's minus 10, because when we go past the y-axis, if we're on the x-axis, we're into negative numbers. So the x-coordinate of M is minus 10, and because point M sits on the x-axis, that must mean the y-coordinate is 0. So now we can see that this point here, point L, is in line with this point here, which we found is 30. So the x-coordinate for point L is 30. And to find the y-coordinate, we have a y-coordinate of 10 here, and we know that the y-coordinate where the axes cross will be 0, so that's a difference of 10 with each half square. So this will be a difference of 10 as well, and this will be a difference of 10. So that's 10, 20 less than 0, so that's minus 20. And we can see that this point is in line with point L, so that means the y-coordinate will be minus 20.